Hello students, welcome to another class of entrepreneurship. The topics for today's class are: first topic is 7 P's of service marketing and the second topic is logo, trademark and branding. So students, we will be learning two topics in this session. In the first topic, we will be focusing on 7 P's of service marketing. You had already studied 7 P's of service marketing in your last semester in retail selling subject. So our study will be similar to what you learned in your last semester, but the focus here is from the point of view of an entrepreneur. In the second topic today, we will be learning about logo, trademark, and branding. So you had also learned about these things a little bit while you were studying intellectual property rights in your last semester in software applications subject. So down the line, if you become an entrepreneur and you want to have a particular logo or trademark for your company, at that time you should be knowing what to do when, how to get a logo, when to get a trademark, and what you should do to make your brand better. Dear students, the lesson objective for today's class is: at the end of this class, you should be able to number one, understand and develop strategies by applying the concept of 3 P's under service marketing, and number two, understand the relationship between branding and effective marketing. So students, in our previous class, we had already studied about the 4 P's of marketing. Today we will be focusing on services. So when services get involved, 3 additional P's are added to the marketing mix. So we will be learning these 3 additional P's here. In the second topic today, we will be learning what is a logo, what is trademark and what is a brand. We will then try to understand how logo, trademark and marketing mix helps to create a brand. So students, before proceeding further, please take out your entrepreneurship textbook, refer to the second chapter and refer to the topic 2.7, which is elements of marketing mix. Dear students, now let us see the 7 P's of service marketing. Service marketing is based on relationship and value. Now in service marketing, depending on the experience which a customer gets while getting the service from the service provider, he or she is going to value the service, and according to his experience, his or her experience, he is going to again come back to the service provider, or he may switch to some other service provider. Example of services are like salon services, where you do several types of manicure, pedicure, haircut and other services, beauty services. Then financial services, that is people who help with your taxes. Then entertainment services, maybe some companies which provide entertainment services in the form of like dancing or music. Then there is car rental services. Now in car rental services, people they provide you cars for traveling, and then in that case customers will also see the behavior of the drivers who are coming for providing the car rental service. Then there are healthcare services. So students, in order to make services more effective, there are 3 additional P's added to the marketing mix. These are people, process and physical evidence. So people, process and physical evidence are the 3 additional P's which get added to service marketing. So let us now understand each of these additional 3 P's in detail. Dear students, now let us understand how marketing a service-based business is different from marketing a product-based business. The first difference is the buyer's purchases are intangible. Now, if you are selling any product to customers, so a customer can touch the product, he or she can see the product and feel the product, and if he finds the product good, he is going to buy it. But this is not same in case of a service. Suppose you have a spa and you provide different kinds of massages in this spa. So yeah, in this spa, suppose a customer cannot touch and feel and check how the massage is. So he has to practically pay for the massage and take it, and then only he may like the massage or he may not like the massage. But beforehand, there is no option of checking. So he has to go for the product without checking the product or the service. The next difference is the service may be based on the reputation of a single person. Now, when you are selling services, reputation is very important. So, if you see, suppose you have a dry cleaning service. Now, in a dry cleaning service, suppose you always deliver your products on time. Suppose you took some clothes from an individual customer for service for dry cleaning, and you said that you will be returning after 1 day. So, if the customer comes the next day and you were unable to return the products and ask him to come the after one more day, so your reputation gets spoiled. So then in the market there will be a reputation that you are not delivering your goods on time. So in service, reputation is very important. So if you are doing good work and your reputation is good, then several customers will be coming to you, and based on your reputation, you can also open several of your branches. Like I said before, suppose you have a dry cleaning shop in Ganeshguri. Just because your reputation is very good in Ganeshguri, you can open another dry cleaning shop in Beltola. And in Beltola also, because of your good reputation in Ganeshguri, you will be getting customers. The third point is it's more difficult to compare the quality of similar services. So when services are involved, it is very difficult to compare which service is better and which is not. For example, you have a beauty parlor and you do bridal makeup and all. Now it is very difficult to compare like the bridal makeup done by me and bridal makeup done by you. It is which one is better. So it totally depends on the customer. One customer may like mine, or other customer may like the someone else's makeup. So it is very difficult to like have a comparison of your services is better than the other. Just you can tell the customers like what are the things you are using, maybe better quality products, your staff is better trained, you follow better hygiene, and you have some success stories to show. So all these can be used to differentiate your product from the differentiate your service from the others. The fourth point is the buyer cannot return the service. Now, in servicing, when the services are concerned, once a customer gets the service done, he or she cannot return back. Suppose if he doesn't like, suppose you have a salon and I come to your salon for a haircut, and after the haircut is done, I don't like it and I say that I want my money back, you can give me back my hair. So that is not going to happen. So in services, once you buy the product, there is no option of returning this product back, or no option of giving it back, not which is impossible in case of normal products. So if you don't like the product, you can return it and the money is refunded. But in services, when services are concerned, if customer is going for the service, he has to take it, and once it's taken, it cannot be returned back. And the fifth point is, in order to make services more effective, because of the complexities involved, three additional P's are involved. These are, the first one is people, then there is process, and then there is physical evidence. So now in the next slides, we'll be learning in detail what is people, what is process, and what is physical evidence. Dear students, the first additional P which is added to service marketing is people. Now people here refers to the employees who are providing the service to the customers. For example, you have a beauty salon wherein you provide haircuts to customers. You have 3 hairdressers who perform this haircut service. Now depending on the haircut given by your hairdressers, the customers will be having an opinion about your salon. They may like the salon or they may not like the salon, depending on the haircut service provided by your hairdressers. So while selecting people in your service, in your industry, that is while recruiting people, that is employees for your business, you should focus on the following 3 things. First one is recruiting the right staff and training them appropriately in the delivery of service. So as the employees will be delivering the service to the customer, so you should make sure that whoever you are hiring are from that particular background and they have appropriate training. So if the employee is not having appropriate training, so you can also arrange training for them. And something, suppose some new technology comes up, or new way of delivering or new machinery are being added for delivering the service, and the employees are not trained uh, to operate those machinery. So you should always arrange for training sessions for your employees, so that they are able to deliver the service to the customers in a very efficient manner. The next point is consumers make judgments and deliver perceptions of the service based on the employees they interact with. Now, suppose, as I said, you have a beauty salon. A customer is coming to your salon, and he or she is taking any service from you. Now, the reputation of your salon solely depends on the employee with whom the customer is interacting. Imagine a customer comes to your salon for maybe for facial, and the person or the therapist who is giving the facial to the customer, and if the customer doesn't like the therapist, or maybe they have some differences in opinion, there is possibility that customer will not like the salon as well. So the customer will, when the customer goes out, he or she will not tell that the person over there is not good. He will rather say that this particular salon is not good. So it is very important to make sure that the employees are having good relationship with the customers who are coming to the salon or any service provider. The next point is staff should have the appropriate interpersonal skills, aptitude, and service knowledge provide the system to provide the service that consumers are paying for. Now, as in service industry, a lot of interaction happens between the service provider and the customer. So the people who are at the front end, who are providing the service to the customers, they should have good interpersonal skills. They should know how to talk to people. They should know how to listen to the complaints of the people. They should also know that sometimes as the customers can be rude, because they might have some problems at their home, and then they can vent their anger on you. So people at the front end, or people who are providing the service, should have the patience to listen to customers, listen to their problems, provide appropriate solutions, and then again, if the customer is not happy, again provide an alternative. Also, the people who are providing the service to the customer should be having proper knowledge of what they are providing. And in a service industry, you should never tell a lie to your customer, because once the customer catches your lie, there's possibility that he or she is going to say about it to like 10 100 people, and then the reputation of your service will get damaged. The next P which is added to service marketing is process. Now, as in service marketing or as in delivering services, there is always a procedure or process for providing the service. So it should always be a systematic process. For example, look at this image here. Now, this is a 4-step skincare routine for acne. So suppose you have a beauty salon, and a customer comes to your salon for facial. So whenever you are doing performing facial to the customer, so suppose the facial involves 7 steps. So there is step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, like that. So while providing the service to the customer, so the person who is providing the service should make sure that he or she is following all the 7 steps and in correct sequence. So just because the service provider is bored, or he or she is tired, it should not be like you skip 1 step and then you do the remaining 6 steps. Or suppose again, you cannot jumble the steps as well. Suppose you perform step 1 first, and then step 4, then again step 2, step 3, not like that. Whatever the process, you should exactly follow the same. And that if you follow the process exactly what is mentioned in the procedure or in the manual, then only you will be able to provide the correct service to the customer. So while process is involved, so you should keep 2 things in mind. First thing is, the process of service delivery is crucial, since it ensures that same standard of service is repeatedly delivered to customers. So as I said before, you should always follow the process or step-by-step procedure, whichever is mentioned, so that the standard of service doesn't changes, and your service is same every time you provide it to the customer. The second point is, therefore, most companies have a service blueprint which provides the details of the service delivery process, often going down to even defining the service script and greeting phrases to be used by the service staff. So, whenever whatever processes you do in your salon, or whatever process services you provide in your salon, you should make sure that you note down all those processes and the step-by-step procedure for the same, so that suppose a new employee joins your company, or and he or she may not be familiar with the process, he can read those processes and accordingly follow it. So what I mean here is, whatever process you are following, it should be in a documented form, and it should not be kept in mind that okay, we do step this one first, we have to do this one next. Not like that. You should have a proper procedure, and it should be properly documented so that everyone follows that process, and then the service provided is perfect. The next P which is added to service marketing is physical evidence. Now, since services are intangible in nature, most service providers try to incorporate certain tangible elements into their offering to enhance customer experience. As I have said already before, that services are intangible, that is, a customer cannot touch and feel it before making the purchase decision. So, what customers do is, what the service providers do is, they try to add some tangible element to the services which they are providing to make sure the customers experience better. So what is tangible things they can add here? In hair salons, they have well designed waiting areas with magazines and plus sofas for patrons to read and relax while they wait for their turn. So the service providers try to give an better ambience to the customers so that they have a touch and feel factor. Suppose the experience of going to a barber shop, street barber shop, wherein they have just chair and fan, and cutting your hair is different from going to a maybe posh salon, maybe going to a posh salon. So when you go to a posh salon, there will be a proper waiting area where there will be AC, there will be facility for some water or some juices. Then there will be magazines, and the customers can be there will be a TV, they can watch that, they can read the magazine. So the customers will have a good experience. Whereas if you go to a barber shop, simple barber shop on the roadside, so there will not be such facilities. So you have to go there. So there will be no AC, and then you have to just wait for your turn. Even sometimes there is no place to sit. You may have to wait, stand and wait. And once your turn comes, you go inside and get your hair done. Similarly, restaurants also invest heavily in their interior design and decorations to offer a tangible and unique experience to their guests. So, similar thing when it comes to restaurants, they also try to do something unique and try to give tangible benefits to the customers. For example, if you see in Guwahati last year, there was a restaurant wherein there were some trains, toy trains, the trains were carrying the food to the customers. So that was a unique experience. So customers used to go to that restaurant just to see like how the trains are carrying the food to the different tables. Again, that restaurant recently I heard that they are using some robots for delivering the food to the customers. So in this way, they try to add some physical component or tangible component to the service so that the customers remember the service and they come back to the service provider again. So students, this completes the 7 P's of service marketing. Apart from the 4 P's, which is product, place, price and promotion, when services are involved, 3 additional P's are added. These are people, process and physical evidence. So we already studied how these 3 things work. Now let's move to the second part of our session. Dear students, let's begin the second topic of our class today. Now first understand what is a logo. Please look at the symbols here. The symbol of Pepsi, Starbucks, Adidas, Twitter, Disney, Instagram, Harley Davidson, Apple and KFC. So these are known as logos. And what is a logo? Logo is a symbol or other small design adopted by an organization to identify its products, uniform, vehicles, etc. So students, by using a logo, a company or a brand can identify itself, or that is distinguish itself from others. For example, this Apple logo. Now, whenever you see this Apple logo in on any laptop or phone, you know that this is a product from Apple. So Apple doesn't have to write there APPLE like that, Apple full entire company name. Similarly, when you see the logo of Pepsi on any cold drink, then you will know that okay, this is Pepsi. So Pepsi doesn't have to like write it on the bottle that this is a Pepsi product manufactured by PepsiCo, like that. Similarly, this is Starbucks coffee. So whenever you see any coffee cup with this logo, you know that okay, this coffee is from Starbucks. Similarly, any shoe or dress you see with this Adidas logo, will come to know okay, this is an Adidas product. So logo is used by different brands to identify its product and to distinguish its product from others. Dear students, the next topic is trademark. Please look at this image here. Look at the image of McDonald's. Can you see a small TM written here? TM stands here for trademark. Again, look at this image of Lay's. Can you see a small R written here? So R stands for registered. Now, what is a trademark? A trademark comprises a name, word, phrase, logo, symbol, design, image, or a combination of these elements. Now, a trademark is a form of intellectual property. Registration of trademark gives the owner monopoly in the use of the trademark in relation to goods for which is registered, and he or she has the right to sue if there is an infringement of his trademark. Dear students, so a trademark is something when you get trademark for any image or logo or something, so you become the owner of that image or logo. As you remember, you might remember this, you have studied this in intellectual property rights in your last semester. So McDonald's is the owner of this image. So no one else can use this image M and I am loving it without asking McDonald's. So if I use this image of McDonald's without asking them, so there is possibility that they can take legal action on me. So if I want to use McDonald's image or this image or similarly Lay's image, I have to take permission from them. And if or they give me permission, then only I can use it. So same thing, suppose you also start your own business and you create a design or logo for your brand, and then once you get it registered or once you get a trademark for that logo, you are the sole owner of that logo and you can use it wherever you want. But anyone else apart from you, if they want to use that logo or symbol, they have to take permission from you. So this is a trademark. Dear students, the next topic is brand. A brand is a collection of images and ideas representing a manufacturer. It refers to the concrete symbols such as a name, logo, slogan, and design scheme. Please look at the image here. Now this image is showing different logos. There is Coca-Cola, Vodafone, Barbie, IBM, Facebook, Starbucks, WhatsApp, Android, McDonald's. So whenever you see any logo or image of any particular brand on any product, you recognize that the product is from that brand or the advertisement or hoarding is from that brand. Now a brand serves to create associations and expectations among the customers. So what a brand does is it tries to relate its product or services to the customer's life, and they want to become a part of customer's life, so that wherever a customer is going, suppose a customer is loyal to suppose Nike, so whatever he buys, he or she buys, he will always go for Nike. Suppose I'm a big loyal follower of Nike, so I wear Nike shoes, I wear Nike t-shirts, wear Nike trousers. So tomorrow suppose Nike comes up with any food product, suppose Nike comes up with a drink, the moment I see that logo of Nike in that drink, I will go for that drink because I'm a big follower of Nike. The same thing. So as a brand it tries to relate itself to a person's life or a customer's life, and it tries to make sure that a person is using all the things in his life, all the requirements of his life are used. That is, all the requirements of the person's life, all the things which person needs in his life, he is trying to buy or he is buying from that particular brand only. I will try to explain you again with another example. Suppose IBM. Now IBM is into like manufacturing of processors for computers. Now tomorrow, suppose I am a big fan of IBM processors. Suppose tomorrow IBM comes up with mobile phones or smartphones, I will immediately buy IBM phone because I am very comfortable using IBM processors, and as I am related to this brand, I will again opt for any new product launched by the brand. So brand recognition and other reactions are created by accumulation of experiences with the specific product or service, both directly relating to its use and through the influence of advertising, design, and media commentary. So a brand uses different types of advertisements. They sometimes use certain CSR activities, that is corporate social responsibility. They do some good work, like Tata during the time of this COVID-19 problem. Tata is doing a lot of charity work. So by this, they are trying to build their brand. Just because Tata, nowadays we see, recently I got one ad also that I will buy only Tata products from now on because Tata is helping our country to fight Corona, COVID-19. So in this way, Tata is one way is also creating a big customer base for him, or creating an image for him that Tata is always working for the country, and as Indians, as patriots, we should always buy things from Tata because Tata is helping our country and it's our own brand. Even Ramdev tried to use the same trick by saying Swadeshi Lao, Swadeshi Apnao Videshi. You only buy local things. You don't buy foreign products. So he tried to promote his brand Patanjali like that. So, so this is how a brand works. So a brand uses its logo, its image to attract customers for its products. So students, with this we complete today's session. So we studied about the 7 P's of marketing, and then we again studied what is a logo, trademark, and brand, and how a brand tries to relate its products or services to customers and make sure that the customer is always loyal to that brand. So students, please watch this video, read your textbook, and do let me know if you have any questions. I will see you again later with another class on entrepreneurship. Till then, have a great time. Thank you.